Kat, and I'm in the BA Test Kitchen to have a super secret conversation about Chris Morocco. Once again, we're putting Chris's super taster abilities to the test. This is Christina Tosi's Compost cookies. I'm challenging Chris to recreate this dish in just one day with all the ingredients. He'll be able to taste it, touch it, smell it, but at no point will he be able to see the dish. At the end of the day, we'll come back to see his final creation.
And I'll be the judge.
Oh, class in a glass with this crew, huh? Interesting. Sweetness. Oh my God. It smells like an ice cream store that's making waffle cones. So fatty, so buttery, so vanilla. Feels quite a bit like a cookie. Ever so slightly soft in the center. A lot of texture wall to wall. It's just like pure, sweet, vanilla intensity with this sort of like toffee, caramel sweetness, but there's really like these pockets of like defined chew. Is it marshmallow? Is there like little bits of chocolate kind of in parts? So I definitely got some bittersweet chocolate. That was like, it's almost like a cornflake or something that's like breakfast cereal. Potato chip, chocolate. Got a salted pretzel. Is it like a miniature butterscotch chip? Such a riot of textures. So we've got a sweet cookie matrix, and then we have all these add-ins. Maybe marshmallows, maybe like a Heath bar, giving like a toffee kind of aspect. It's not really quite my cup of tea, but I have a feeling about whose work this might be. This feels very Christina Tosi to me, and her most famous cookies, the fridge garbage dump, the kitchen sink cookie.
Kitchen sink cookies, also called compost.
Compost cookie. Feels very her, even if it's not her. Ingredients: AP flour, eggs, granulated sugar, dark brown sugar, baking powder, baking soda, vanilla. All right, now in terms of like mix-ins, bittersweet chocolate chips, potato chips, salted pretzels, not rods, mini marshmallows. Let's try Lucky Charms toffee bar. Why not? And small butterscotch chips. This is like one of those days where you feel like we're going home at midnight. Somebody's gonna go shop for these ingredients, and then I'll have my first shot. So, mini pretzels, salted. I've got potato chips, mini marshmallows, mini butterscotch chips. I've got semi-sweet chocolate chips. I'll list 10, those are actually bittersweet. Hershey's Special Dark. Is that what I am to you? Cornflakes, Lucky Charms, God help me. Like, I haven't even thought about these things for like 3 decades. It started out fairly crisp, although as they warmed, they started to soften. And I think that is largely a function of there being a fairly high proportion of fat. So Cory just gave me my own recipe for BA's Best Chocolate Chip Cookie. Now that cookie I don't think is entirely correct, but that's gonna give me at least like a rough indication of where I should be coming in. I wanna start out by trying to cream the butter and sugar together as opposed to putting the butter into a liquid state. It's just gonna help me create like a different structure to this cookie. Then I'm gonna go with dark brown sugar for its higher molasses content, stronger flavor, and then we're gonna go 1 whole stick of butter, although maybe let's go crazy. Let's put an extra couple tablespoons of butter in there. All right, so you're gonna get that cream in. 125 grams of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and then 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. By creaming, it helps build the structure of the cookie. It dissolves the sugar, and Yeah, I don't know. It's friggin' science, you know? Honestly, I wish I understood it like better than I do. The way that these ingredients intersect is part of what creates like so many baked goods. It's just fascinating. Vanilla is now going in to the dough as well. Yeah, so in here, meant to do that. Some salt's in there. That's great. Now we go. So this is our base dough, and then I'll combine it the rest of the way by hand. As you let a dough rest, you allow the flour to fully hydrate. Yes, for the sake of consistency and repeatability, you know, a rested dough may ultimately perform better, but like if you do a cookie that's meant to be rested and you bake it right away, you're gonna get a very different result than the person who's actually following the recipe and resting it as indicated. For me, I'm not sitting around for 2 hours waiting for chocolate chip cookies. I wanna be working in a mode here today that doesn't necessitate resting in any real meaningful way. To that end, I'm gonna bake off a couple cookies side by side just to see how the dough performs. We can only try. Oh yeah, we got problems. Got big problems. The 2 extra tablespoons of butter, I think were almost certainly a mistake. I just made like a friggin' Tate's mutant, you know, like plain Jane cookie here. Sorry, no offense, Janes of the world. Just plain cookie. What we're lacking here is structure. And the whole point of doing the creamed method was to like try to build firm yet yielding structure with like really glassy, smooth kind of underside. I'm gonna cool this down in the fridge just for like 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go ahead and make another dough. 1 stick butter. The danger of just changing too many things at once and not being able to tell the impact of each individual change. Half a teaspoon baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon baking soda, kosher salt. The cookie has that turbocharged sweet vanilla buttery thing happening, which feels appropriate, but it's just completely lacking in substance. I still feel good about rebalancing these ingredients the way that we are. May have to think about leavening. So this is really just gonna showcase a different proportion of fat and flour. And I'm gonna hold there without changing anything else about our leavening. Definitely got slightly stiffer dough. Again, it's not like a complete game change, but I definitely noticed the difference. All right, in we go. And we'll see how we're looking. Interesting. So a little bit more structure, but we're looking a little anemic, you know, not quite getting our iron camera right. So I'm going to shift the proportion of granulated and dark brown sugar further in favor of dark brown sugar. I'm also gonna tweak the leavening. The goal is to try to get just a little bit more structure, a little bit more lift, a little bit more heft to these cookies. I don't know that like baking powder ever should have been in here to begin with, but I'm going soda only. Bourguignon 3. It's like deja vu all over again. So now we're just doing 50 grams granulated. Gives you sweetness, crispiness. Brown sugar gives you more chewiness. This will be 150 grams now. Staying with 1 stick unsalted butter. So in terms of dry ingredients, staying constant on AP flour. No. Soda. Only soda. It gives you some lift, but it also causes baked goods to spread and brown. So I really think you're gonna start to notice a difference in terms of the color of this dough. It's already pretty pronounced. All right, dry goods going in. Just wanna zero in on the right dough, no resting, no hydration. 10 minutes, see you there. Okay, so this was 12 minutes. Even the parchment being raised just a little bit inhibited the spread of the cookie and gave me that warped shape. Even though it's warm, I can already pick it up. It tells me that it's gonna firm up to some degree of crispiness. I think this is a pretty good base to work off of in terms of folding in some mix-ins and then seeing how it bakes with them. $1 million question. And I'm serious here. How do you get some of this in there, you know? So we're gonna do salted pretzels, potato chips, butterscotch chips. Or like, I don't even wanna taste it. This is like my worst thing. It's like my worst thing. Like shitty, fake, vanilla, like what is that? But then like mini chocolate chips? Was it a mini chocolate chip or was it just like chopped chocolate? The chocolate part of it felt like more irregular. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but maybe we just go a little bit of chopped chocolate. Or was it just the Heath bar? Maybe. I'm gonna chip the chocolate off the Heath bar, but include the toffee quotient, and then I'm gonna chop other chocolate on the side. Seems very plausible. Okay, so we've got salted pretzels, we've got mini marshmallows. Oh, we need the marshmallow. We've got butterscotch chips, we've got potato chips, no, dude. Perfect, and that's just how they do it. Okay, so without like absolutely crushing and shattering everything, how do you portion this dough, you know? All right, so we're gonna go into the oven, see what happens here, all right? 350 degrees, and we're gonna leave it about 10 minutes, check them, see how we're doing. Very curious to see how this goes. Having some problems. I mean, what a fucking mess. Same cookie, you know? Fairness, it's hydrated, right? But it's moving and it's spreading in really unpredictable ways because of the mix-ins as well. The marshmallows really do some fucked up, annoying things. So I'm gonna do something that's like super normal and not annoying at all, which is pull the marshmallows right out of this dough and then bake off a couple more. Because they're spreading and doing bad things. Like I knew they would. That's why I wanted the stupid marshmallows from the Lucky Charms. Just gonna file this under. Everything's totally cool.
On attempt 1, right?
Yeah, we're still on attempt number 1. Let's see what happens here. Might have gone a little too heavy on the mix-ins, but it's okay. All right, here we go. I mean, do I wish that weren't sticking straight up? Yeah, I do. Thanks for pointing it out. It took a while to get to this place. It gives us a pretty good baseline, and then the mix-ins are the mix-ins. All right.
Let's do some self-scores.
Oh God. I mean, let's call it a 65 for ingredients. Is there Heath bar? Is there what form of chocolate? What type of flaky things? What type of marshmallowy or sugary things? Technique-wise, like maybe I'm at 70. Like this, maybe just hope that I got the right sort of style of cookie dough. This is like way too textural. I'd say like 65. Taste. Flavor-wise, I'd say like maybe we're at 70. On this piece of paper, I have the scores I just gave myself along with the actual scores. Ooh. Ingredient-wise, I'm actually at a 50. Technique-wise, I'm actually at 75. Is there something I needed to make to go in there? There's like a sub-component, you know, of the recipe that's like a mix-in that I should have like constructed from the ground up. I've got one more shot to taste the original dish before I do my final bake on this, and maybe I'll pick out something else. We can hope, right? All right, well, we gotta break down and use those mini chocolate chips. Stop trying to get fancy with the Hershey's Special Dark hand chopped. Thank you very much. These little shattering, crisp, marshmallowy, weird, caramelly somethings. The differential on the ingredient score made me wonder if, could it be that there's like some other component I need to be making? Are we sure that's not like an ice cream cone or something? Buttery, sweet, but like fairly neutral shards of cookie. Compared to like the intensity of flavor of like one of those butterscotch chips or like a chocolate little pocket, it like doesn't even compare. I don't know, it's very hard for me to place. This is giving me granola bar kind of. It's a little bit sweet, maybe felt like a little bit like grainy or oaty. If there's one thing I'm like sort of spinning out around is like it's these, you know, kind of like gooey things that like present as sort of like marshmallowy. I'm really just racking my brain trying to figure out like, okay, what can give you a similar effect? Corn syrup is something that you might see a little bit more in like a production kitchen where you want to retain like softness, but it's not like my sweet spot, you know, just in terms of like how I usually put together my cookie dough or what a reasonable amount of it would be. Yeah, I don't think I need to taste anything else. It's this meringue sweetness, gooiness that's really like vexing me. But what about like that round crunchy like cookie like thing? Like in terms of recreating the sensation of like what was happening in the cookie, like I'll take some f***ing sugar cones like right now. I'll put them in there. I don't give a shit. We're not making big changes with the dough. Did a lot of work to get the dough to like a place I was like pretty happy with. I just asked for some rolled oats, giving me that like granola bar vibe. Maybe that would get me something. All right, so dry ingredients: AP flour, baking soda, salt. For sugars, wait, that's flour, folks. Thanks for the heads up. I'm gonna stay with where I was on our sugar makeup, but I'm also adding a little bit of corn syrup. Inverted sugars, whether it's like corn syrup, honey, you get a lot of chew rather than like drying out and just going full on like crispy. It's not because it's adding flavor necessarily. I'm tempted just to like go full rogue and start pulling out the Lucky Charms marshmallows. Oh my God, my kids would die of joy if I brought these home. Honestly, like, it's kind of wild how similar it is to like something I've been tasting in there. Now our dry ingredients. Now we need our mix-ins. Now is like where things get weird, right? So I'll do like a quarter cup of those. I mean, I don't know. Some chips are gonna go in. Here, take one of the marshmallows. It's not a bad facsimile flavor-wise. Cooked sugar, little bit like caramelized. So we're gonna throw in some of those. Now we're going full mini chip. Butterscotch, pretzels. Plus I'm doing a little chopped chocolate as well. Doing both. Oh yeah. More of like a matter of like what I'm perceiving in the cookie. I wanna beat this up just a little bit, working some of those mix-ins in to integrate it. And I might do a few pieces of pretzel on top. I think put that in the whatever file. We're going in. Okay, so second attempt is finally in. We're not looking back, we're only looking forward. So we'll regroup in like 10 minutes. All right, honestly, like, I feel okay about this. You've got really nice color, really nice kind of wavy, ripply edges, bit of a soft center. Marshmallows from the Lucky Charms standing in for this caramelly, chewy, sticky something. Not mad about it at all. It's hitting an ideal balance of like crispy and chewy in a way that I know how to at least replicate. So for ingredients, my actual score last time was a 50. As much as I'd love to say that loads of things changed since then, honestly, like maybe I'll go with like an actual 58 and hope that like a few things in the right direction made a difference. Not a lot changed technique-wise here, so I'm gonna stick with 75. Appearance, if I was at 88 before, like let's say I'm at 90 now. Taste, let's nudge that up to maybe 85, just with the inclusion of a couple of other elements. Just a challenging day, but I'm okay. Okay.
I should have slid too.
It's okay. I didn't prepare you for that. I didn't spin out too hard about the things I just couldn't get, you know? It's all right.
Chris, are you ready to find out what this is?
I sure am.
May I present to you Christina Tosi's compost cookie.
Okay.
I feel like as soon as you tasted it, you were like, I think I know who's making this cookie.
Yeah.
And you got it right immediately. I mean, they look pretty similar.
There certainly is a slightly different structure to my cookie from
Yeah.
the original. Like these don't look like they spread the same way.
Yes.
I think I've had to make some choices about how to make cookies over the years, and I've like sort of never really looked back.
Yeah, your brain is just like clouded with all of the information that you've created for yourself, and now you're like, I refuse to do it any other way.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to tell me about how you made your cookie?
I used creamed butter, granulated sugar, brown sugar, and light corn syrup. Simple dry mixture, AP flour, baking soda, salt. That was the base, no rest, right into the oven.
I think that's what one of the biggest differences here is that this is a rested cookie and you do rest it in the fridge for an hour. The lower temperature allowed the butter to solidify rather than stay soft at room temperature. Helped it seize a little bit better in that hot oven.
It's how fascinating that like a very similarly ratioed cookie, like
Yeah.
that is sort of the benefit of like a cold rest, right?
Yeah.
It's a very controlled spread and it's a little bit of like a different texture.
Yeah, but I am super impressed with the fact that you went this route because I think the texture of your cookie is super similar. So let's talk about ingredients.
Okay.
I wanted you to get it so badly.
Yeah. Can
But-
I open one while we're talking?
Yeah. So that ingredient was actually graham cracker crust that Christina Tosi makes herself to fold into the cookie batter. I feel like we set you up for failure, and I do apologize, but
Graham
this
cracker?
is the show, and
Know
I
what's so
don't make the
funny?
rules.
No, know what's so funny though? Graham cracker is like very open, airy structure. Not going to present that crisp in my mind,
Yes.
right? Because if it's a crust and it's had extra fat added
Not
to
only
it,
extra fat, but it's had milk powder and extra sugar,
Yeah.
and everything just kind of becomes this like thick mass.
yeah, I don't feel bad about that at all because I mean, like, what the? But
No,
like,
yeah.
and that's why I put marshmallow in there. I was like, there's
Yeah.
some weird desiccated, sugary something.
You took out your baking powder after
Yeah.
your first attempt. This recipe actually uses both baking soda
It does.
and baking powder, and it's actually more baking powder than soda.
There's no brown sugar.
There's light brown sugar. I understand where you were coming from trying to use dark brown sugar because you were trying to add in that little bit of acid to activate the baking soda. But yeah, this is mostly baking powder.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be a true compost cookie if there wasn't some coffee grounds in there.
Really?
If you know what's in there, you can taste it a little bit. Do you want to try it?
Sure. Let's try it.
Taste the coffee a little bit? No?
Maybe I just drink too much like actual coffee.
Yeah. Should we try yours?
Be sure to get a piece with a Lucky Charm
Lucky
marshmallow
Charm?
in it,
Okay.
You might have to dig around for one.
The texture is so similar, even breaking into it.
It's funny, it's like with all that dark brown sugar in there, the whole thing tastes a little bit savory and like butterscotchy and caramelly.
Your extra dark brown sugar is doing that work, so
Yeah.
it tastes so similar. For ingredients, I gave you a 60
Uh-huh.
just by counting all the ingredients and then
Because
then
of
doing math. Yeah, just math. Technique, I gave you a 75. You
Because
didn't.
of the graham cracker thing?
You did miss about a third of the recipe. So as much as I hate to dock points for that,
I mean, that's
it just had to happen.
sure.
And then for appearance, I gave you an 85. I do think they're extremely similar, but because you did use those colorful marshmallows and there just aren't quite as many mix-ins as there are in this recipe, I had to give you an 85. And then for taste, I gave you a 90. You were able to create such a similar product, even though you missed so many ingredients. Somehow you got there.
Nice.
And it
Yeah,
just tastes
cool.
almost identical.
That whole fakakta, graham cracker thing, like,
Yeah.
cool,
Yes.
The rest of it is gravy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting the chef, getting the name of the dish, getting so close to recreating it, but doing so many things wrong along the way. Tiny differences have huge impacts. And I think this is like, today is like just such a clear example of that. If I discus a cookie from here into the compost, will you give me a free ingredient?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. We're okay. Just careful. Heads up, heads up, heads up. Are you f***ing kidding me? How can you be that close?
That's a wrap.
Oh, God.